Today on the show, I have some email feedback from you, the loyal hands-on photography listeners. I love to dive into, and I got some thoughts on what was sent. Y'all stay tuned.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Hands on Photography is brought to you by AG1 by Athletic Greens. If you're looking for a simpler and cost-effective supplement routine, AG1 is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase of a subscription. Go to athleticgreens.com/hop. What's happening, everybody? I'm Ant Pruitt, and this is Hands on Photography. I hope you're doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. Today on the show, I want to dive into a little bit of your feedback and just share some thoughts on the feedback that I received this week. And you know what? Without further ado, let's not waste a lot of time. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. So, email. It comes from Chris. And the email says, "Hello, Ant. First and foremost, love the show. In watching, I've been hoping that your talent will rub off on me, but so far, no luck." Okay, that's pretty funny. Trust me, you got some talent. Trust me. Anyway, the message continues. This leads me to my question. I'm an avid trail runner and hiker. Sometimes I like to stop and take some pictures of the scenery, although I think I'm pretty terrible at it. Do you have any tips or suggestions? I've attached some photos I don't think are completely awful. Good to hear that. If you're curious, I use a Pixel 7 Pro. Don't really matter, but thanks for that information. And haven't modified these in any way. You have permission to use the photos in any way you wish. And sir, I will just use these images here on the show to show everybody that's watching and listening to Hands on Photography. All right, good email. And the pictures that he sent in about four images or so. I'm going to show them to you. And it made me think, I like the idea that he's an avid, hiker, just out and about doing his thing. And then every now and then he just stops and takes in the moment and takes in what he sees and says, let's go ahead and capture this moment and put it on photograph digitally or what have you, so I can always have it and be able to refer back to it. I love that aspect, and I think that's pretty dadgum cool. Now, I want to go ahead and show you the images that he sent, and we'll talk through that and give you some of my thoughts and comments on it. But before we do that, I want to take a few minutes to thank this week's fine sponsor, the folks at Athletic Greens and AG1. This episode of Hands on Photography is brought to you by AG1 by Athletic Greens. Like countless others, I wanted to support my health without incorporating more pills or sacrificing my taste buds. With AG1 by Athletic Greens, I'm able to give my body what it craves, all in one daily nutritional drink. AG1 is founded back in 2010. That's a long time, because I've heard about these cats for quite a while. And it's been a part of millions of routines ever since. AG1 is the best all-in-one solution for daily nutrition. It saves you time, it saves you confusion and cash, with each serving costing less than $3 a day. And when you're getting your servings, you're getting all these extra awesome vitamins and minerals and nutrients and prebiotics and probiotics that are perfect, just great for your gut health. And I got to tell you, great gut health goes a long way with other things regarding your full body wellness. So take this stuff seriously, folks. I love AG1. It tastes so good, and it's so easy to just do this part of my morning routine each and every day as far as taking care of my body. AG1 makes it easier for you to take the highest quality supplements, whether it's improving digestion or supporting your sleep. AG1 is the best bang for your buck. AG1 is a seamless, easy daily habit. Just one scoop of AG1 in the morning covers your entire day's nutritional basis. If you're looking for a simpler and cost-effective supplement routine, AG1 by Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase of a subscription. So go to athleticgreens.com/hop. That's athleticgreens.com/hop. Thank you for the support. All right, we're back. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these images here that were sent. Mr. Victor's going to make this look all pretty and stuff on screen. So this one here, again, he's out hiking, so he's going to see a lot of beautiful scenes, and these are all untouched and taken with a Pixel 7 Pro. Now, when I was reading the message, I said I didn't really care what he shot it with. Just you're out there with a camera, so have at it. And this image it's not bad. It's okay. It's a landscape shot out in the wilderness, if you will. Looks like there's a beautiful lake and a little tiny island in the middle of it with a rock structure and a couple, looks like some pines or some type of coniferous trees there off in the middle of the frame, about the middle third. So it's not bad. The horizon line is perfectly straight. There, you get an A+ just for that right there. Dadgummit. Beautiful. Just a beautiful area. The picture doesn't necessarily move me, if you will, but I get why you stopped to take this photograph, because it's just a very, very nice area. He has some cumulus clouds at the top of the scene, and they all just sort of fade off in the distance. Very nicely done from a framing standpoint, especially with the way the little island is there right smack dab on one of those, right on the it's actually more of the middle right third of the frame. And it's just a great way to draw my eye. Just very nice. But again, it doesn't necessarily move me or anything, but it's not a bad shot. Now, I want to move on to some of the other ones because you're going to see some progression here, at least in my opinion. Now, this next shot here, again, wow. He's standing on a cliff edge, if you will, of a mountain, and there's more mountains off in the distance. And the framing, again, is quite fascinating. You have on the left side of the frame more of the cliff, if you will, sort of giving you a bit of a wall, so like a natural frame on the left with the mountainside and the cliff, and then it just sort of falls off into the distance, giving you more of a view of the trees off in the distance and the mountains. And it's just a decent blue sky, not a lot of clouds or anything. Again, it's not a bad shot. It doesn't move me, but it's not a bad shot, and I totally get why you stopped to take this photograph. All right, moving on to this next image. Okay, we're getting somewhere where I'm like, all right, now what we got going on here? This image again is more of mountains off in the distance, but again, there's a bit of a small lake on the bottom right third. You barely see it, but you know that there is some water there. And on the left side of the frame, the mountains sort of slopes down towards that lake to the right. And again, it's just an interesting line, if you will. And off in the distance, you see these 3 mountain peaks here that just looks pretty daggum cool with the snow, a little bit of haze and the fog. The sky is a little bit blank and bland, if you will, but that happens. It ain't much you can't just tell the sky to, hey, have clouds here when I show up, daggum, but I get it. I would have taken this photograph too. Not bad. I would add a little more contrast on this to sort of give some more definition in the middle of the frame with the trees there, and a little more definition would pop out on those mountains if you add a little bit more contrast, basically allowing those mountains to be just a bit more defined. They're off in the distance, so you're not going to get a whole lot of detail, but you could get a little bit more just from adding a touch of contrast and a touch of clarity and sharpness, if you will. All right, now this final image, this one, dude, this is the shot. Okay. What do I like about this shot? Now, if we go back to a previous episode where someone was asking about their favorite, a good tip for landscape photography. In that video, I mentioned, having layers in your landscape photography, and you want to have something in the foreground. You want to have something midway, and you want to have something off in the distance, if you will. And an added bonus would be a bit of a lead-in line that leads the eye of the person viewing your image. And sometimes that's a little hard to get a lead-in line, but then there's a simple trick as far as being able to get layers in your scene, and that is changing the height of your camera. You could literally just drop your camera down about 1.5 feet or maybe a meter or so for you folks that are on the metric system. Drop down maybe a meter or so, and that's going to change the view of the perspective, if you will. You'll be able to see more of the foreground. You'll be able to see middle ways, and you'll be able to see out in the distance, depending on what you're framing up. And right here in this image, dude, you're not necessarily at a lower angle of the shot, but you nail all of the check marks as far as having something here in the foreground with these stones and the foliage and grass and so forth right here in the foreground. And then in the middle of it, it sort of dips down into a bit of a valley, and there's a lot of lush green there. And as you go further off in the distance there in the center of the frame, even though that's the furthest part in this image, there's a beautiful bullseye, if you will, of the mountain peaks there. And it's absolutely beautiful the way this is captured. I love the bullseye effect of it, because you get this automatic leading line that takes me from the bottom of the frame all the way through the center of the frame. The only thing that I would add on this is you could play around with the actual color here, play around with the saturation levels, play around with the vibrance level, either increase or decrease, even do some selective color adjustments on those greens if you want to. Even if you want to add a bit of atmosphere, if you will, you can add a little haze to this to just give it a little bit more drama. There's so many different options here, but Chris, this is nicely captured. Very, very nicely done. Okay, so back to your email. You know, you said you think you're pretty good at it, and I gotta tell you, I agree. I think you're pretty good at it. And far as getting better and sort of figuring out, you know, what can you do to just sort of continue to progress on this, I think a lot of it boils down to what exactly do you want to shoot? If you're an avid hiker out there, are you wanting to focus on food and beverage photography? I don't know. Maybe you do. If you're an avid hiker, do you want to focus on landscape photography? I don't know. Maybe you do, but you probably will, because you're always out there. So it sort of makes sense. And if you're wanting to particularly focus on landscape photography, start thinking about all of those different elements of a landscape photograph, and even think about it from the perspective of how you use color, or how you don't use color, going with something black and white or totally monochrome, if you will. There's a lot of different things that you can discover. And I have a bunch of episodes talking about different aspects of photography, whether it be how to use color or how to change the mood, if you will, just based on color in your photograph or your video. And I think that's the route you should take. Just first figure out, what do I want to shoot? Or what do I enjoy shooting? That's the most important question. What do you enjoy shooting the most? So figure that out, and then just start to dive into the nuance of that. You know, if you're someone that's into doing product photography or food photography or portraits of people, there's a lot of different things in those different styles and genres of photography. If you're wanting to do portraits, you need to look at posing. You need to look at how you pose the subjects in your image, and look at lighting. You know, the lighting makes a difference. You know, what happens if this key light is set right in front of me? It's not going to necessarily give me that 45-degree key and shadows on my face. It's now going to turn more into a high key where I'm going to lose shadows on my face and smooth things out. And, you know, it's a lot of different aspects. So, Chris, yes, thank you. First, thank you for the email. And again, I think you're on your way. Just figure out if landscape photography is the thing that you really want to dive into. If it were me, I would go ahead and print a couple of these and then just hang these up somewhere, or give them as a gift to someone. These are definitely print worthy. They look great, and it might give you some further inspiration to continue to doing what you're doing. Do what you're doing out there on your walkabout. All right. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for your continued support. Continue to like, share, subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're using, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of them. Just go ahead and do your thing there to spread the word about the show. Thank you again to my man, Mr. Victor, for making me look and sound good each and every week. Hey, safely create, dominate, and I shall see you next time.
Listeners of this program get an ad-free version if they're members of Club TWiT. $7 a month gives you ad-free versions of all of our shows, plus membership in the Club TWiT Discord, a great clubhouse for TWiT listeners. And finally, the TWiT Plus feed with shows like Stacy's Book Club, The Untitled Linux Show, The Giz Fizz, and more. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks for your support.